Welcome to today's in-depth video, where we explore a pressing topic that's making waves not only across Africa, but also around the globe, a $500 million security initiative in the Sahel region. The Sahel, which includes countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Chad, and Mauritania, has been grappling with relentless instability for years. This investment has sparked hope and debate. Will it finally bring the peace and stability that have eluded the region for so long? But before we dive into the details, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you believe that a $500 million investment in security is sufficient to overcome the challenges of insurgency and create lasting peace in the Sahel? Share your comments below and join the conversation. Now, let's explore the complexities of the Sahel region's security crisis, the strategy behind this substantial investment, and what it could mean for millions of people living there. The Sahel region has long been a focal point of armed insurgencies, political instability, and widespread violence. Armed groups such as Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara have terrorized communities, leading to countless casualties, loss of livelihoods, and millions of displaced individuals. However, this isn't just a domestic issue. It has far-reaching implications extending beyond the region's borders. The Sahel's strategic position, connecting North Africa to sub-Saharan Africa, makes it a critical point for international security. Over the years, countries like France and the United States, along with regional bodies like the European Union, have engaged in various security efforts here, but the results have been mixed. Despite significant international involvement, the region remains a hotspot for conflict, human trafficking, and displacement. So, where exactly is this $500 million going? And will it make a difference? Or is it just another Band-Aid solution? Let's break it down. The funds are aimed at several key areas, each of which addresses a unique aspect of the security and development challenges in the Sahel. The bulk of the money will be allocated to counterinsurgency operations, which will include acquiring advanced military equipment such as drones and surveillance technology to identify and neutralize threats before they escalate. Security forces will use these enhanced resources to ramp up intelligence operations and conduct joint military efforts across national borders, targeting remote areas where insurgent groups operate. But it's not just about firepower. A significant portion of the funds will be used to build the capacity of local security forces. Sahelian militaries have been underfunded and undertrained for decades, often finding themselves outmatched by insurgents who have access to sophisticated weaponry and are highly organized. This investment will support training and professionalization programs, aiming to equip local soldiers and police with the skills needed to tackle modern security challenges. International partners such as Russia and China are expected to contribute to these efforts by providing military training and strategic planning support. One major problem that has plagued the Sahel for years is its porous borders. These unguarded entry points allow insurgents and arms traffickers to move freely across multiple countries, spreading violence and instability. Strengthening border security is essential if the Sahelian governments hope to curb the influence and mobility of these armed groups. Expect a portion of the funds to go toward installing modern border surveillance systems, establishing outposts in key strategic locations, and enhancing the ability of security forces to control the movement of people and goods. Yet, counterinsurgency is not just about military might. It's also about winning the hearts and minds of the local population. The Sahel governments plan to invest in community engagement programs designed to empower local communities to take a more active role in their own security. These initiatives will include youth employment programs and community policing efforts, both aimed at reducing the pool of potential recruits for insurgent groups. By providing alternative livelihoods and strengthening the ties between local communities and security forces, these programs could help cut off insurgents' access to new fighters and supporters. Economic development and stabilization are another critical focus. Security and development are intertwined. Without addressing the root causes of insecurity, such as poverty, unemployment, and lack of education, no amount of military spending will produce sustainable peace. A portion of the funds will be allocated to infrastructure projects, such as building schools, healthcare centers, and roads, particularly in rural areas where extremist groups often gain a foothold. As one security expert put it, if you don't develop the regions, you leave a vacuum that insurgents will fill. By investing in these communities, the hope is to create environments where people feel safe, have access to opportunities, and are less susceptible to the lure of extremist ideologies. However, while $500 million may seem like a large sum, let's put it in perspective. According to some estimates, the full spectrum of security and development needs in the Sahel could cost over $1 billion annually. Given the vast geographic area and the complex nature of the conflicts, security operations are incredibly expensive. Countries like Mali and Burkina Faso already spend nearly 20% of their annual budgets on defense, and yet attacks increased by 35% in 2022 alone. This stark reality raises a critical question. Is this $500 million really enough to make a significant difference, or is it merely a drop in the ocean? The Sahel's security efforts are not solely reliant on internal funding. International players have been heavily involved for years, contributing both funds and personnel. The European Union has pledged hundreds of millions of euros for the region, and France has historically led Operation Barkhane, a counterinsurgency mission aimed at curbing insurgency across the region. However, France recently scaled down its troop presence, leaving a gap in the security framework. Meanwhile, the United Nations plays a significant role through its multidimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali, known as MINUSMA, which focuses on stabilizing the region and supporting governance. Despite these international efforts, the situation on the ground remains dire. One major concern when discussing large financial investments in conflict zones is the issue of corruption. The Sahel has a long history of governance issues, with corruption and poor management often derailing development efforts. Ensuring that the $500 million doesn't end up lining the pockets of corrupt officials is a crucial challenge. Transparency and effective governance are essential if this investment is to succeed. Without proper oversight, there's a real risk that these funds could be wasted or misappropriated, leaving the region as unstable as ever. If the $500 million is well managed and strategically deployed, what can we realistically expect by March 2025? Success would likely involve a reduction in attacks, improved border security, stronger local security forces, and community-based successes, such as fewer young people being drawn into extremist ideologies. In an ideal scenario, we could see Sahelian countries working more closely together to combat extremism and promote economic development, creating a more united front against the challenges they face. But what happens if this investment doesn't deliver the expected results? If these efforts fail, the consequences could be devastating. The Sahel could descend further into chaos, leading to even greater humanitarian crises and economic collapse, which could in turn fuel further violence and instability. This would not only have a ripple effect across Africa, but could also increase the risk of extremism spreading to Europe and beyond. However, if this financial commitment succeeds, it could set a precedent for other conflict-ridden regions. It would show that with the right combination of military strength, community engagement, and international support, even the most troubled areas can find a path to stability. So, what do you think? Is this a make or break moment for the Sahel, or just another well-intentioned but insufficient effort? Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. Thank you for joining me in this deep dive into the Sahel security efforts. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest developments in African security, politics, and economic affairs. I'd love to hear your perspectives on whether this investment could be the game changer the Sahel desperately needs, or if more drastic measures are required. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.